Hello, welcome to the fifth episode of the Camerata podcast. This is a beautiful, sunny Saturday afternoon. No smoke in sight on my end. I am so happy to see that. Uh, how are you doing out there, Sarai? How are things in terms of the weather?
Yeah, hey, it looks great actually. I think it's starting to clear out pretty well by now. So it looks nice. I can go outside and not die. It's great. I love it.
Awesome. I'm happy to hear that. By the way, everybody, this is Sarai, otherwise known as Porkboii. She is a local indie musician who just came out with a whole bunch of music this past 2 or so years. Um, we'll get more into that, but Sarai, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Porkboy. Yeah, like Andres said, I'm a singer-songwriter. I usually write I always write from the heart actually. And most of my subjects are around like personal relationships, interpersonal, friendships, romantic stuff, family, and sometimes I focus on like the ways that I see the world and how it's both beautiful and terrible.
Definitely. That's a good way to sum up the world at this moment. Beautiful and terrible.
Yeah.
Um, just to put a little focus on your music right now, if you don't mind,
Hmm.
you have, and I'm just going off of how do you say? I'm just going off of what you have on Spotify. You have a full album called Love Letters,
Yeah.
and you have a whole bunch of singles that you've released on the platform as well. Um, can I excuse me? The first music that I've heard from you was off of Love Letters, and that
Yeah.
was actually a few songs that you played at this really cool little live event in West Covina, I believe, in front of like a little sushi shop. Uh,
Oh
can you
yeah.
tell me about Love Letters? That is one of my favorite local artist albums. It's just absolutely melancholy and just so just sad but beautiful at the same time.
Oh man, I'm really glad you like it. Yeah, I actually want to like re-release Love Letters at some point with better production.
Mhm.
Because I feel like I could have done better for sure. But I'm glad to have it out anyway, and like that people get to listen to it. Um, I mean, the song is just, or the song, the whole album is mostly, yeah, like they're all love songs actually. And they're love songs that I had written um starting when I started basically like working on music back in 2016, but I actually kind of started collecting them as like topical love songs in 2017 when I wrote Love Song I Never Wrote, which is not in the album, but it's like the single that inspired me to be like, oh, I actually write a lot of love songs and I should put them all together. So they're basically all songs inspired by um, basically various failed relationships, like romantic relationships through the years. I
Mhm.
think if I were to like uh I can like point to every song and say like, oh, this is about this person, this is about this person, well, not about, but inspired by.
Right.
um it's about like about four people, and then Bare Skin is just like a self love song,
Mm.
because we can't forget that that's the most important type.
Oh, definitely. Now that's one of the things that I really enjoy about the album. You've got these really like haunting kind of like I said melancholy songs. Like one of my favorites is definitely Salt and Sea. That one is just so dark and deep. It's so
Yes, I'm
wonderful.
so glad you like that one. When people
Yeah,
don't go
sorry.
ahead.
I was just gonna say that's one of the first songs I heard from you. You played that at that show, and I think
Yes.
just to shout out the folks who held it. I think that was by. Do you remember the group that held that show?
Lucid Dreams, I think is what they're
Lucid
called.
Dreams. Yes, yes.
Mhm.
We're going to post all the links to everybody we reference in the caption. But yeah, Salton Sea was one of the first songs I heard you perform and heard you do it all, and it was just like, wow, I haven't felt this way about music in so long. Um,
Oh,
no, seriously, it was just amazing. But like you said, there are also songs like that have, excuse me, there are also songs that kind of veer away from the very melancholy sound, like
no worries.
but Bare Skin. We'll start there.
Ah, yeah.
Um, yeah, but you have songs like Bare Skin that are not exactly the complete opposite because it's still about love, but like you said, it's about, how do you say, self-love. It's about,
Mhm.
it's directing that inwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, you have that album out. It's really nice. And then you also have a whole bunch of singles that you released this year, including Home is Where My Friends Are. And I want to talk about that for a few minutes. How has creating been for you during the pandemic, during this one apocalyptic year?
Yeah, it's been kind of funny. I actually wrote Home is Where My Friends Are before the pandemic started. I actually started writing that song in December and I
Oh,
finished, yeah, it was just like I wrote in December or maybe January. And I for my birthday I had like an open mic night at our house. Uh and that's one of the songs that I sang cuz for my birthday I wanted to celebrate the people in my life.
hmm,
Um and then I started working on it with my friend Anthony. He produced it. This was all before the pandemic started. But for example, Trapped and Can I Say It? Both I wrote during the pandemic, and those were mostly like it's been really hard to write and work on music during the pandemic. I've
hmm,
been very depressed and like just getting to like sit down and write music is really like just even sitting down to do it is really difficult.
right.
Um so sometimes I'll just get into this like manic state where I just have like all of this energy and I'm like, "Oh, I'm inspired." And so I write a song in like 30 seconds and then I like clean it up a little bit. Uh
Right.
and that's why I've been releasing singles. Like I actually have like 4 albums that are already written. I just have to record and
Oh,
produce them and mix
jeez.
them and everything. But I cannot handle I hate producing. Uh so I like cannot handle having to sit down on the computer and be like, okay, and now I have to this like the worst part about music, which is like the production aspect because I'm so bad at it and I
Hmm.
get so frustrated. And also just like yeah, having to sit down and record and like try to sound good. It's just I'm like, oh my god, it's so hard.
Right.
uh yeah, but I'm not really releasing singles because that's like what was in my master plan. I I'm just like, oh, this is what's coming to me right now, so I gotta
Hmm.
release it. And I actually have a new song coming out
Ooh.
on September 26th.
Right.
Uh, and that song I actually wrote it down because I'm like basically heartbroken. And I was writing a song about it and I played it at an open mic on this Discord server called Indie Music Feedback, which is
Oh,
where I spend most of my time like talking to people and collaborating with other musicians.
that's so
Um
cool.
yeah, it's super cool. You should check it out. It's
I definitely
incredible.
will.
I think anybody that checks this like everybody that's there most of the time is like I love this place. And I
Hmm.
love the people here. So I played it at an open mic, and my friend T Rex was like, I love this song so much. Let me play drums for it. And I was like, perfect. Yes, let's go.
Hmm.
And then he invited our friends DHXP or Dury and Loam. And Loam produced the song, and then Dury did. bass, and guitar and like some other instruments. Uh, and we got it done in like a week. And I made a music video for it, and it was like, yeah, one of those like I'm inspired and I have like very short bursts of energy and I'm just getting it done. And it's, yeah, it's incredible when that happens, but it just doesn't happen often, is the bad
Right.
part.
Yeah, inspiration sometimes just doesn't like it doesn't click when you snap your fingers, but
Yeah,
it's
no.
just the amount of work that you've put out already, like an album and a whole bunch of singles, some of them dating back to last year actually. It's just
Yeah.
I don't know, that's definitely something that I wish I could keep up with, just having that kind of energy to really put out music on a somewhat consistent basis. And I'm really,
Mm.
how do you say, I dig that, honestly. It's
Ah,
great.
thank you. Yeah,
Um,
if
oh,
you
sorry.
sorry, just a little addition to that. If you get on indie music feedback, you're gonna feel so much worse about it. Because there's people that are like, I have a wife and a million kids and like full time, like three full time jobs, and I put out a song every week, and I'm
Oh
like,
my god,
what? And they're all like incredibly well produced. It's insane.
that's amazing. I
It's
would.
also very inspiring.
Mhm. I'll definitely check it out. Do you? Is it? Do you join just from Discord, or do you have to message somebody?
If you go to Reddit and look up indie music feedback, it's like one of the um links on the top.
Hmm.
That's like the only way that I know how to get to it.
Right. Well, you know what? I will definitely I will look into that. And I'll put the link to
Yes.
that in our captions as well. So anybody else can if they're interested, they can give it a look see. Um I let's see, where can we go from here? I also did want to ask, and this is less COVID related. This is
Mm.
more just kind of music business, quote unquote, in general. But how are you feeling currently about streaming?
Streaming.
Yeah, and this is a conversation that I've had with our last musician guests, and it's a conversation I have with a lot of folks in general. Uh, but typically in the music world, there are two parties of people, and there is the large mass of people who just do not like streaming because it just like completely digs away at like any potential revenue you can make as an musician.
Mm.
And then there are the people who are like, yeah, but you get to listen to music for like basically free. And we're like, that's the problem. That's how do you feel about it? Probably being somebody in both parties, like I am.
Yeah. I would say I'm in both parties for different reasons.
Hmm.
I think streaming is great just because you, yeah, it is so accessible and like people can listen to music and it's just it it removes so much of the wall to like being able to access music easily. And I think that's great, and I like people listening to my music.
Hmm.
um and I love it, and I like listening to other people's music.
Yeah, of course.
And I also have my music on Bandcamp, and then they're doing like Bandcamp Fridays where they just give you like all the money that people pay for your music.
Oh, are they still
Um
doing that?
yeah, they've been doing it like since March, I believe.
Oh, I thought that was just something that happened for like a few months. I didn't know that that was something that was still going on.
Yeah, yeah, they do it like I think it's the first Friday of every month.
Hmm.
Um and so yeah, sometimes people will just y- like shoot me some money on Bandcamp Friday, and I'm like sick. So I don't really like care. Also, I don't make my music to like, to me it's not an issue of uh like making a living, or like not even making a living, or like making my money back just because my like I work full time. So I'm like, whatever.
Hmm.
Like I'm just doing this as a passion project, and just because I enjoy performing and I want to get my music out there so people know what I sound like, and then I can potentially hopefully go on like a little tour someday. I want to just like drive around and have a massive road trip where every night I'm just like basically begging people to to pay me so I can fill up my gas tank or whatever. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I in general, I would say streaming thumbs up.
All right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's super humble, honestly. Like a lot of the artists that I've spoken with, whether or not on this podcast, a lot of the folks are in the mindset of like, oh, this is what I want to be my career. This is what I want to be my living. And it's so, streaming kind of just eats away at that with like the very little revenue that you can get in what is basically the new distribution model. Um,
Yeah.
and sometimes I'm kind of that way too because I would love for music to be my living, so to speak. I would love to be quote unquote full-time musician.
Yeah.
Um but I can definitely appreciate excuse me. I can definitely appreciate anybody who is who sees this as their passion project, who's like, yeah, this is just what I do on the side, quote unquote, what I do for my personal enjoyment. And I totally love that, honestly. That's
Yeah.
I don't know. That feels a bit more pure in some ways than like,
I mean,
yeah.
I would love to like to do this as my career, obviously. But I feel like right now it's not, like, it's just not going to be the case for a while. But also, yeah, my opinion on it, like the one that I just voiced, is very much dependent on like the like what is going on in my life right now. But I feel like in general, yeah, it's streaming's pretty fucked actually. Cuz this is like, yeah, music's such a huge industry, and like Spotify's making so much money of artists.
Yeah.
And artists are not getting, well, they're getting literally cents. And like I just hear about like these big artists like Taylor Swift or whatever, and she's like getting like gazillions of streams, and like she's making like just thousands of dollars, but they're like, if you're getting zillions of streams, you should be making at least billions of dollars. I don't know. And so it's like not enough to pay the huge teams that like make it all happen. It's like so many people that sh- has to get paid out of that.
Mhm. Yeah,
Uh,
like I agree with you pretty much everywhere on there. It's just I mean, I'm personally not in the camp where I think anybody quote unquote deserves like billions of dollars. I don't think
no,
anybody should have that sort of money and power, but at the same
no.
time, like if your music is on a platform that is, basically either free or very or costs a minimal amount, and a lot of that money is going towards keeping up that platform and keeping all the servers up, but then a lot of it is going towards CEOs and shareholders.
Yeah, no, they're
you
just
know
making a profit.
yeah, some of it, not just some of it, but a good deal has to go back to the musicians who
Mhm.
basically make that platform what it is.
Yeah. It wouldn't
It's
be Spotify without all of us.
ex- exactly, it's bullshit. And yeah.
I mean, I singled out Spotify, but there's obviously like Spotify's not the main problem, or I would say it's one of the main problems. But there's clearly, yeah, there's a lot of
Oh
streaming
yeah.
services.
Like not just regarding music but videos. In terms of videos, YouTube is
Yes.
also just a huge money sink.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Not just with revenue but with their whole content striking sort of thing, their copyright
Yeah,
strikes. It's
it's
just
ridiculous.
it's an entirely different beast. I remember, and this is a bit of a tangent, but I was watching this video by this creator called Critical, who I absolutely I
baby.
love
That's
his
what I've been
work.
waiting
I love
for.
his
That's what it's
content.
all about.
And he has this company that works with YouTubers to make sure that they are able to, gain access to more revenue by guiding them through the huge moat and pit that is YouTube's copyright system. And he was telling us in this video, uh, because he got to work with actual YouTube employees. He was telling folks that basically the entire copyright branch of YouTube is inaccessible to other YouTube employees. They're
What?
you can't actually contact these people. YouTube employees have tried and they actually haven't been able to like make any meaningful communication with this branch of the company that they work in.
Jesus Christ, that's
That's
insane.
it's the stupidest shit. It's like this company has become like a factionized sort of country almost, where it's like, oh, you don't go to the quarantined section of YouTube. That's off limits. That's our Chernobyl. It's
Yeah,
insane.
it's crazy. Um the people that wrote the algorithm and like all of these like legal rules don't even understand how it works. Like not step by step at least.
Hmm.
They have a general idea, but then yeah, it's just like yeah, sure it does like its job efficiently or whatever, but it just doesn't do it right. And like all of these people are making spending all of this time and money making this extremely polished content.
Right.
And what they're getting nothing out of it basically, and it's just like these are some people's careers, man. It's not cool.
Yeah, it's I don't even know what to say. I mean, I think that is just the people who are in control of these platforms. I really think that is the main issue. Like,
Yeah.
I would love to see a version of YouTube that is like creator owned, like a more democratic sort of thing. I
There
would love
is
to see that.
one. There
Oh,
there there is a version, but fuck. I forget what it's called. And I also don't use it, but I should because most like a lot of my favorite creators are on it and
hmm.
they promote it all the time. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, but like, but I'm on YouTube. Uh, it,
It's not Nebula, is it, or something like that?
yes, I think that's
Is it
it.
Nebula?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I remember there's another YouTuber that I watch that was promoting the same thing, and I think it's either Internet Historian or I want to say it's Internet Historian, but I think that's the name of it, Nebula.
Yes, yeah, and it's also like just $3 a month, which I'm like, I'm on Patreon, like, and I pay some of my like I'm on like some of my creators like patrons like
Yeah,
list or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and for some of them, I'm spending like $20 a month, just like giving them money because I'm just like, you're getting like YouTube scamming you out of money, and I like your content, and I want you to be able to like continue doing it.
Hmm.
But I'm like, wow, Nebula, like they all support it. They all also feel supported by it, and it's just $3. Like I don't know. I feel like I'm scamming myself by by using Patreon instead of just going to Nebula, and maybe I should just
Ooh.
switch.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to look into that, and just to not to be self promoting, not to boast or anything, but the
Mm.
Camerata was actually we're in the midst of making a Patreon with some of our creators, kind of
Oh, nice.
cross like a cross creator sort of thing. But I've been hearing some criticisms about Patreon, specifically not accessibility, but the kind of like I guess it's a bit of a thing regarding the community where it's hard to really find patrons outside of the people that you're, you know, that are quote unquote your fans. It's not like you can be as easily discovered as on something like Spotify. Um,
Oh yeah, no.
but yeah, we will definitely look into that now. You just brought that up, and I think that's definitely something that is worth paying attention to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's I mean, the companies that make most of the profit out of these people are like obviously not taking care of them. So
Hmm.
I guess it's up to us to
Yeah.
like figure it out.
Hmm. So we're nearing the end of this, and I just wanted to bring us to the last little segment of our podcast. I wanted to ask if you could shout out a local creator of any kind, music, videos, illustration. Just kind of let us know their work, let us know what they do, and you know what you find inspiring about your favorite local creator at the moment.
Cool. Yeah, I'm just gonna shout out my roommate, Anna Everhart. She does acrylic pours and collaging. And she uses basically your classic, porn magazines like Playboy and Hustler,
Hmm.
uh, and makes these like beautiful, striking collages on top of acrylic pours, sometimes on their own. Um, and they're just really pretty. Uh, she puts a lot of work into them, uh, and she makes prints
Hmm.
also, which and stickers, which are like very accessible, and I really appreciate that. Um, she's up and coming. I like her work a lot. The way she thinks through it is with like obviously in these magazines, women are seen as like objects of desire. Um,
Hmm.
and she, recontextualizes these images into something more beautiful, and uh like removes the context of like, oh, this is on Playboy or Hustler, and this is like for you to like gawk at and get pleasure out of.
Right.
uh and yeah, I really like her art. It's great. So her name's Anna Everhart.
Hmm.
She goes by Anne. I don't even know how to say it.
Wait, is
Anna
it an
Banana.
apocalypse? Oh,
It's
wrong
no,
one.
well, that's her like skating and personal
Oh, okay.
Instagram,
Okay.
but her art handle is Anna Banana, and it's spelled NAN.UH.banan.UH.
We will put this in the caption.
Yeah,
We'll link to her Instagram.
yeah, just put it in the caption.
Yeah, that's awesome though. That's a really kind of novel concept. I don't think I've ever seen porn collages or porn
Yes,
mashups.
you should check it out. They're great. They're incredible. Some of them are like kind of funny. So you should definitely check out her Instagram.
Indeed. I want to shout out Rebecca Ustrell. She is an amazing illustrator out in the Inland Empire area, but she's also the head of Curious Publishing, which is a just completely
Wow.
unique and beautiful group of suppose artists, and they publish these really cool art books and art compilations and magazines, all of them featuring artists from the local IE scene. And they also have really cool special editions centered on female artists and women artists, centered on artists of color. They do a lot to kind of boost representation, and I think that's a really, I don't know. I just think that's a really amazing and pretty important concept to be, illustrating here.
That's
But
super
yeah,
cool.
yeah, like um you can find all of her work on her Instagram, Rebecca Ustrell, and just look up Curious Publishing on Instagram on the web, and we'll put all the links in, and you will find all of their art books that they published. You'll find their magazines, and they are all super just beautiful collections of work from amazing artists all around this local scene.
Sweet. I'm gonna check her out.
Indeed. All right. Thank you all so much for tuning in. This is the fifth episode of the Camerata podcast. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend or week, whatever time you happen to be listening to this to, and catch you all later. Adios.
Bye.